I'll tell you a little bit about myself. Been doing managed services since the year 2000, but back then we didn't have the industry buzzword of managed services. We called it simply monthly support. We're going to go over some issues with service level agreements, how we can make them work for you, not to be feared. This is not going to be a boring paperwork attorney seminar. We're going to have a lot of stuff for the newbies, for the vets, give you some ideas to go back with and implement. So basically, I want to tell you a little bit about when we started, we didn't have an SLA. So we just had monthly support and we had billing issues. And why do we have billing issues? Because we had no SLAs. So there's no clear-cut dividing lines as to what we were doing and what we're held accountable for. And since we have moved to implement Kaseya, utilized the forms, implemented SLAs, our life and our billing has gotten a lot better. Hopefully you'll see the benefits of that too. We're also going to talk about how you can actually generate money with your SLAs. Believe it or not, you can guide people towards your level of thinking and your way of thinking and actually make money by implementing an SLA. So let me ask a poll of hands. How many people are using SLAs? So everyone else is not using an SLA. Not good. How many people are using canned SLAs they got from a book or online somewhere? Raise your hand. Okay. We're going to work on you guys. On the plane flight back, you'll whip out your laptops and start working on it. The obvious, why do you use an SLA and what is an SLA? What's the purpose of it? And there's some obvious things. Biggest thing right now I can tell you is keep this handy. Fences make great neighbors, okay? That's what an SLA is. It creates a fence. You have a great relationship with your customers. Think of it that way. It defines your scope. What will you cover? What you will not cover. You're going to cover managed services. You're not going to cover moves, adds, and changes. That's billed separately. You're going to define each of your services. By doing this, you're going to define your rates, your prices, your hours. You're going to set your protocols, your flow chart, how you handle situations. You don't want somebody calling up a tier 3 tech for adding a printer. You want to have it go through your flow chart, and you have to explain that to your clients and spell that out in your SLA. So hopefully you come out of here with the idea that detail-oriented process is the way to go with an SLA. It defines your responsibilities, your limitations, what you're responsible for, what the client's responsible for. And we're going to go into that in a little more detail in a few slides. It's going to allow you to either point the finger at someone else or put yourself on the grill. And if you do your job and you do use Kaseya the way it should be used and you get assistance getting it set up and working for you, you're going to see you're going to be pointing fingers at other vendors before you actually get put on the grill. Because hopefully everything's set up in place and working properly, covering your own butt. It's going to cover your own butt, but it's also going to absolve you of liability. It's going to let you know, or your clients know, I should say, what you're not responsible for. And you have to remove the gray areas. And basically with an SLA, if there's a gray area, the customer is always right. So you need to be as detailed as possible so you never get into that gray area and make the customer always right. And really define your level of responsibility. We'll go into that a little more later, but something simple is specifying who in that company is changing the tape. And if that person changes, they need to let you know so you can have those alerts go to that person. We had a situation one time where a person was responsible for tape changes. That person left the company. No one told us. And for months, they were having failed backups, and that was going to a dead mailbox. Who's responsible for that? Not us. We did the rebuild, and we billed the customer. So you have to make sure it's in your SLA. It alleviates customer issues. And if you have a customer issue, you can possibly lose that customer. The unobvious, or not so obvious with the SLA, preventing from losing a client. If you have a customer issue, they might go to another vendor. You don't want to lose that customer. It costs you more to get that customer than it does to retain them. You don't want to have to give them an extra month of service. So how can we work going through that? You want the SLA to be your friend. Have it work for you, not against you. Having as much clear-cut definitions in your SLA will reduce the number of conflicts you may possibly have. They understand basically how your company works and how you're going to respond to their needs. The other thing, and this is what we're going to go into in a couple slides, is guide your customers to your way of thinking and to your vendors. This is how you're going to make your money. This is how the SLA will be your friend. How many people here have worked for a Fortune 500 company before, or Fortune 1000 in IT? When you had a new employee come on board and you set up their computer for them, did they go to you and say, hey, I don't like this HP you got me. I saw Dell had this special. I want a Dell. And I don't want Mark Mancini at HomeDepot.com. I just want Mark at. They don't dictate policy. You dictate policy. Your IT company dictates policy. You're their IT company. You need to dictate their policy based upon your standards and get them to that level of thinking. And you might think you're going to butt heads with a customer like that, but that's not true. They're coming to you for advice and support, and you need to find what works and duplicate it. So you need to go with that level of thinking and be their outsourced IT department. So the best thing I can state for you is to try to gear yourselves in that mindset. You are the IT director for a large publicly traded company. Another thing about the SLA that people fail to realize is that it's the boss, the owner of the company, that actually signed the SLA. So when an employee goes to you for support, opening up a trouble ticket, and they say, well, I want this resolved now. I don't want it resolved within 4 hours. Well, that issue is not with you and that employee. You can just throw it back at them and say, well, this is the agreement your boss and I came up with. Okay? If you have an issue with that, you can see your boss about it. But this is the agreement I came across with him and we signed and agreed upon. So it resolves those lower level people calling incessantly about issues that are just not that important, and lets them know that this is an agreement that was signed between their boss, the person who signs their paycheck, and you. And you just phrase it that way and throw it back at them and redirect it. And also, too, reducing your ticket count. You don't want to have 4 tickets a day being created for line of business support if you're not supporting line of business. So you need to spell that out. Line of business tickets are not supported. If you have a QuickBooks issue, we are not your point of contact. Intuit is. So go there. SLAs should not be optional. All right, Rob? Also, too, you need to really get a flow chart going when you set up a new client. What's your checklist? How many people here have engagement letters that they use when they bring on new clients? Anyone use an engagement letter? If you don't currently use an engagement letter, it's a great thing to do. When you go out for that first initial meeting, there might be a confusion as to, is this a free meeting or am I going to actually charge you for assessing your network? And that's where the assessment level really is a pre-SLA. It states, we're going to talk to you and basically sell you on us. If you would like us to assess your network, we will then assess your network, and that is a fee-based. And if you're using engagement letters, you're probably on that same path. But have a flow chart. Have your office manager, okay, engagement letter was sent out. Salesman goes out and talks to them. They sign the SLA first, and then you deploy the agents. I know a lot of people start deploying agents, and the sales guy's out there. He's talking over the SLA, and the owner is not there. He's not paying attention. I'll get back to you. I'll sign it. I'll send it later. Meanwhile, your technician's doing work. They look at this, and they go, well, I'm not signing this. You just wasted time, have a confrontation, do things in order, get that flow chart going, and stick to it. How many people here do monthly assessments and counts on their machine groups of how many nodes are deployed on their network? Half the people, a third of the people? You need to make sure you're accurately billing your customers. You're not overbilling or underbilling. Look at your LAN watches. If you frequently see somebody's got a personal computer on their network, you might want to confront them and say, hey, there's a machine that's been on there 21 days out of the month. Should we put this underneath managed services or not? Yeah, that's a great idea, and sell them up on it. The SLA needs to be updated frequently. If they make changes, if you make a change in your support level, if they add or remove computers or servers, you need to make sure that that's updated and it's signed. Also, too, don't be afraid to have them re-sign the SLA a couple times a year. We were talking yesterday at the MSP conference here where we had a roundtable going. FaceTime with the customer. Don't be afraid to go out there once a month and, like I said, assess their network, see what's out there. That's a great time to bring their updated SLA there and have them sign it. If there's a change to it, have them sign a new one. Don't just say, okay, well, you signed the original SLA, and now we're changing you from 50 PCs and 3 servers to 52 and 2 servers. Get another signature on that contract. Rip up the old one, shred it up, and file this one. Response times, in as much detail as possible. Remember, it is not a fixed time, it is a response time. Obviously, if any of you are familiar with Atlanta, traffic, I cannot get to another one of my clients in an hour, okay? So our response time is 2 hours, but that's a response time. We will get someone on the road within 2 hours. We're not going to have it fixed within 2 hours. If it is not an important issue, you give them a 2-day period. Is that 2 business days, or is it 2 days if you're a 24/7 shop? You need to specify, is it a 48-hour window, 48 business hours, as specific as possible. What your rates are, both on and off hours. Also, you may have rates for weekend and nights. What about rates for holidays? Are you going to pay your employees the same rate on a Saturday as you would on Christmas Day? No. But you should have a rate for those holidays if something were to happen on 4th of July or on Christmas or Memorial Day. So make sure you have those rates spelled out. On holidays, there is a separate rate for that. What are your hours of operation? I am not a 24/7 shop, but we do offer paging services that will alert us if a system goes down in the middle of the night, if a client decides to contact us about it. Some of you do have 24/7 capabilities, and you need to explain to them how they're going to be contacted. Is it going to be a cell phone? Some of you may have that one company cell phone that gets passed around to your employees, right? What happens if something happens to that cell phone? So you need to make sure that the person understands that it's a cell phone it's going to. They may be in a non-cell area. If it's email, hopefully they're checking their email at night. The biggest thing is what you support and what you do not support. There are people here, like myself, do not support Apple, do not support Linux, do not support BlackBerry. Okay, there are certain things you just do not want to touch. They're more trouble than they're worth. You make sure you specify. We do not support XP Home. We don't support Windows Media Edition. Okay? If you specifically do not state that, they're going to expect that you cover it. And you need to make sure that that is spelled out as clearly as possible. Also, too, what you should consist of is when to engage a line of business support, when to engage a higher level of support. You may have an issue with the server. You're going through the eventid.net and you're comparing what's in the logs and you can't figure out what's going on. At what point do you break away, send it to your second level tech? How much time does he spend on it? And then at that point, at what time do you engage Microsoft? If you're a Microsoft Gold partner, how many people here are Gold partners? So you probably lean a little more heavier on the business critical down support. You may have your second level guy working on it while you call into the queue because it takes an hour, right? For those of you who are not Gold partners who may have to pay for Microsoft support, do you charge the customer for that? At what point do you engage them? So we need to find out how critical something is and at what time period you bring in Microsoft, you bring in someone else to help you resolve that issue. You also, you need to make your SLA and managed services look better. How do you make them look better? Well, if you go to our website, we note on there that if you're a break-fix client and you want same-day support, we have the right to charge you a $75 emergency fee. Okay? We also charge a trip fee and our hourly rate. So if someone has an issue and they want us to get there right away and they're not underneath managed services, that visit may cost them $245 for a 10-minute stop. Now your SLA and your managed services will look a lot better because they'll get you same day if you specify that, if it's a critical issue. And what we do is we waive our trip charge and we take a couple dollars off our hourly rate. So we make our managed services portion look more attractive. It's going to be cheaper for them, we'll respond a lot quicker, and it makes it look better. But you need to spell these prices out in your SLA. What is a project and what's a managed service? We talked about this yesterday a little bit. And you need to specify moves, adds, and changes and what a client is responsible for. And let me tell you a little story. How many people here have deployed computers of 20 or more? Raise your hand. What do you guys do with the boxes? Do you take them home? Do you leave them with the client? Do you specify it in your project scope of work or in your SLA? You should. Because one time we went to a deployment, 20 computers, like, okay, great. You guys going to haul this stuff back out? Forgot to mention that in the SLA. The customer is responsible for their own garbage. They're responsible for their old computer. If they want their hard drive wiped on their old computer, we do a DoD wipe and we charge for them. We spell that out in our SLA. If not, they're going to expect you wipe their old computer, not just format, stick a drill bit through it or do a DoD wipe. So make sure the client knows what they're responsible for. Simple thing as discarding boxes is something a lot of people overlook. Another thing is key access. We have some clients who want us to be able to go into their building on after hours or on a Saturday and reboot a server if it needs it, and they'll pay for that service. Make sure they give you a key. If they change their locks, make sure they give the updated key, or if they change the code, they give you that. Spell that out in the SLA. Also, too, some clients will want us to keep a user password list. They'll want us to remote in as a user to set up their machines, to check on a line of business application that's working properly or not underneath that particular user. So we may have a password list for a couple of our clients. Again, that is spelled out in our SLA. You also need to state the applications that you block and what you permit and don't permit. Now, I'm sure many of you are implementing the network monitoring features with Kaseya and blocking LimeWire and Kazaa and all those fun toys. But you need to state that. Otherwise, you're going to have somebody calling up going, my network's not working. And you find out it's Kazaa or it's LimeWire, whichever file sharing service it is. So you need to spell that out that you will be blocking it. Also, too, you need to be able to have a list of applications that you have the right to remove without the user's permission. Weather bug, search web, things like that. My employees know. If it's on that list, just rip it out. I don't care if it's CEO. I don't care who it is. If it's an application that we do not allow, we remove it. That's it. End of story. Remember, you're their outsourced IT department. You dictate policy. Also, what are you responsible for? Are you guys doing offsite replication of your Kaseya database? Everyone? No? Some people? Make sure your Kaseya server is backed up and your database is taken off-site. Do your BUDR and make sure that file is every night off-site replicated. You're responsible to keep it up and running. Also, with your T1 provider, do you have an SLA with your T1 provider that you're happy with? Do they give you a certain guaranteed level of uptime and response? Because that's going to dictate to your clients, again, what you're responsible for and what you're going to provide. In your SLA, you should spell out all the features of Kaseya. Now, you're not going to go into detail with each script, but you are going to let them know, we're going to monitor this, we're going to do these Windows updates, and also what those windows are. For instance, we were talking at lunch, and Sunday between 3 and 6 is when we do our Windows updates and reboots. And we spell that out to our customers clear as day. This is when we do Windows updates and patches. This is when we reboot. If you want us to change it, we charge a fee if they want to change that time. That's time that works for us, and we state that. We also have our Cronus imaging starting at 6 p.m. on the client workstations, and then imaging each machine, full backup each night. Their server gets backed up at 11. This is dictated in the SLA. All of our clients are set up the exact same way. It is 11 p.m. backup times. They need to know this. You know, if they're going to have a power outage in the building or something else going on, at 11 o'clock, hey, Mark, our backups go at 11 o'clock. We need to make sure that something is taken care of. Another thing, too, your SLAs should consist of, and this is a side note, state your staff certifications, their MCSEs, their MCSAs. We've got a couple of changes going on this year with Server 2008 coming out and certifications. I would state in your SLA the certifications of your staff, what they include. And also, we're going to go into perks of your SLA. In fact, we'll talk a little bit about it now. What we do is we keep loaners on hand. How many people here keep loaners PCs on hand? That's a lot more than I thought. It's great. It's about half the audience. If you don't do it now, look for a Vostro Special where they're $300 and load it up with your XP image and Office image and keep it as a loaner. Put that in your SLA so when someone looks at it and they see, oh, look at all this legal information, you can go, hey, look, we're going to offer you a loaner PC. If your machine goes down, it's going to take a week for you to get a Dell. We'll bring in a loaner for you to use in that meantime. Also, too, for those of you who are gold partners, you get an unlimited live meeting option. For our clients, we create them an account in live meeting, and we give them a live meeting login. So they have unlimited use of live meeting at no cost. So again, another perk about being a managed services customer. Now the boring attorney part of it, I guess, is things like hold harmless clause, have an arbitration clause. That's very important. You don't want them to sue you and go to court. You want to have it with a third-party arbitrator. Conduct of business clause. Suppose you find out they're doing something immoral, unethical, illegal. Are you responsible? Suppose they're pirating software. They're putting Office on several machines instead of just the one. You need to make sure you have there's a unilateral way to get out of the contract. Whether it's you or them, they can cancel the contract at any time. We do a month-to-month agreement. We do not lock them down to 1, 2, or 3-year agreements. How many people here do month-to-month? Raise your hand. Everyone else use annual or 2 or 3-year agreements? I'll talk about why I don't like that in a minute. Confidentiality terms. Make sure your employees sign an employee agreement that's very detailed, your attorney whipped up, that your employee signs that goes into detail. Also, a HIPAA agreement. We have generic HIPAA agreements for our doctor's offices. We provide them as a service. It covers their butt, not ours. Okay? A HIPAA agreement is the doctor is supposed to supply to you as a way to cover their butt. But if you need one of those, see me. We'll get you a couple of them. And make sure that they sign it, and it'll help them in the long term. State and local considerations. There might be county or state ordinances or laws to follow. I'm from Georgia, and we love our Second Amendment right. Okay? Several of my employees have concealed carry permits, including myself. We don't normally carry guns around, but my clients need to know that we do reserve that option. We may have a concealed carry permit if the law allows in their building to be armed. So they need to know that. You know, someone might get offensive if you bend over a desk and they see by your ankle that there's a gun. So, you know, it's one of these things you look over, but it's definitely something a client needs to know. And don't make goals you can't meet. You know, you don't promise them you'll never be broken into, never have a virus, you'll never have to worry about anything. Viruses happen, backups fail, security issues happen, okay? And that's something that you're just gonna have to concede to and realize that there's certain limitations. We had an issue about 3 months ago. It was tax season, a CPA firm. Halfway through tax season, they decided, we're gonna let loose, it's 5:30, we're gonna go have a few drinks, call it an early night. They left, had a few drinks. One of the CPAs came back and had to email a paper for her daughter for school, and noticed that 7 laptops were stolen. So things happen. They're in a building that had security staff checking people in at the front desk. Totally missed it. They had security cameras. Totally missed it. But that next day, Saturday, guess what we did? We came in with loaner computers. We used the backup disaster recovery. We brought their image back from their laptops. Now, granted, they have desktops now. They can't bring them out in the field. But for that week, while they were waiting for their Dells to come shipped in, they were working by noon the next day. We deployed new computers, put their images back on there, and they were working. So loaner comes in handy, and like I said, the guarantees you can't meet, things are going to happen. Just make sure you have a flow chart in place to respond. If your K server goes down, do you have a business continuance plan? Do you have a spare server you can put it on? Do you have a way you can get to your clients besides Kaseya if that goes down, via terminal services or something else? Network moves, changes, upgrades, again, make sure you put in your rates, what you charge for. Exemptions for service packs. Service Pack 3 for XP had some issues. Service Pack 2 had some issues. I don't think Service Pack should be part of your standard service level agreement as a managed services model. I believe that's an upgrade and has to be charged separately. But if you state that, you can bill for it. If you don't state for it, the customer is always right. Why I don't agree with annual agreements or multi-year agreements and month-to-month, and here's why. Any contract can be broken. It's just a matter of how much in attorney fees you're going to pay to battle it. And is it worth it? Are you going to create ill will with your customer? Are you going to have a bad name throughout the neighborhood? I mean, let's face it, if you have a certain vertical and you're suing a client because they broke a contract, and they're going to talk to their friends at lunch, oh, Twisted Technologies, I try to cancel my contract, they're suing me now. You're not going to get many leads or referrals from that. Also, too, if you do a lot of referrals like we do, we have a lot of common clients. 7 degrees of separation. I can guarantee you almost all my clients know every single one of their other clients. There's ties in there because most of them were referrals. You can't hold someone to a contract and it'll cause bad will, and I think it causes more damage than it does good. Word gets around on the street that you're holding them to long-term contracts, and it's not going to look good for you. We had an issue I'd like to tell you about briefly. Was a home builder who thought they can get better service with another MSP. And that MSP was using Ipswitch's, not really an MSP software. And basically they had no backups for 2 months. The backup, or their email worked about every other day for 2 months. And because we left it on such good terms, at 2 months they begged us for us to come back. We saw that they totally decimated their server. They didn't use any of the wizards in SBS, so everything was broken. So we got to rebuild their server and charge them $10,000 for it and took them back on as a client. So it was a win-win situation. We left amicably, we came back amicably, and we got another $10,000 for our services. So again, that's the reason why I don't like annual agreements. You may differ with that, and that's fine. But I just believe the customer is always right, and word gets around. If you're looking for referrals, that's something that you just have to look at. Make yourself look good in SLA. How many of you carry errors and omissions insurance? Great, great. Those of you who don't, think about it. State that, because you know what? No one does. How many of your competitors carry E&O insurance in your area? Probably hardly any. Do you carry liability insurance? And liability insurance is cheap. We carry $2 million in liability and $1 million in E&O. And I think for both, we pay less than $3,000 a year. We're also members of the Better Business Bureau. We're Microsoft Gold partners. We state that in our SLA. We are members of the BBB. If you have any issues, contact them. It gives the client a peace of mind when they enter an agreement that this isn't one of those cell phone contracts with the fine print. It's a friendly agreement. Again, offer the perks, the spare PCs. We also offer 3 different acceptable use policies, okay? A real basic, easy one, one that's lawyer-esque, and a third one that was used that one of my employees got from the Georgia Department of Transportation. So we give them 3 samples of AUPs that they can use. What does the AUP do? It helps you out because now people are not doing things in their computer they shouldn't be doing. They shouldn't be installing games. They shouldn't be installing WeatherBug and things like that. So we offer that for free to our customers. We waive the emergency support fee. Another thing we do is when they order a PC from us, we order a Dell, we prep it in the office. We do all of their Windows updates there at the office. And we don't charge them for that time. Now, when we go on site and deploy the rest of their applications and join them to the domain, that time is billed. But since a lot of times the computer's being shipped to the office and you're doing things at the office anyway, you can click next, and do a couple Windows updates, okay? But giving that customer that extra hour of labor free of charge for being part of a managed services client, I think it adds some give back to that arrangement. Again, it's a warm fuzzy. Offer discounts for keeping a credit card on file for timely payment. There's 2 things you can do. You can keep the credit card on file and bill it in the first of every month, which many of you are doing already. You can also let them know that if you invoice them the same amount every month, it's okay to pay early. If it's due on the 1st, they don't have to cut the check on the 1st. They can cut it the 25th and take a 5% discount if you want to give it to them. Or sign an annual agreement, or not annual agreement, they can prepay annually, I should say. Does anyone have anyone that prepays annually for their support? Great. Doesn't hurt if you don't ask. A lot of people don't ask to be prepaid annually. Wayne Gretzky said that you miss 100% of the shots that you do not take. So you ask them, hey, how would you like to prepay for a year of managed services? We'll give you a 5 or 10% discount. Now you don't have to worry about collections anymore. It's worth that 5 or 10%. The customer is going to be with you, okay? Always ask for it. One of the things that I really love about SLAs is that we force them to our level of thinking. So we charge extra for non-supported vendors. And this is where we go to make money. In Atlanta, we have a great market of competitive T1 providers. And our chosen partner, for instance, is CBeyond. We tell clients, if you're with CBeyond and you have a phone or T1 issue, contact us. We have second-level support right away. We don't have to go through a ping and telnet. We can go straight and let them know something's wrong with the network. We get nice residual checks each month from referring to CBeyond. If they decide to go to Nuvox or XO, we don't get those checks. So whenever a client has an issue with their T1, if it is not with CBeyond, we spell it out in the SLA and we tell them, you are responsible for contacting the ISP. Is it ever fun contacting an ISP? Never. So once the customer realizes how painful it is to call up and let them know that you're having a T1 issue, and you redirect them to Bell South or AT&T now, they're not going to want to go with them next time. They're going to want to sign up with you and go with CBeyond, your preferred partner. A customer may want to go with HP for a server instead of Dell. But if your employees don't know how to set up an HP with all their setup features like Dell's Open Manage, it's a learning curve. It costs you more money. So get them to your level of thinking. If they want to look at a copier, a printer, a network device like that, go with a referred partner. Many of you have arrangements already with your printing companies where you get referrals and you can either pass referrals back and forth or you get commissions back and forth, okay? Anytime you refer someone to one of your partners, you should be getting either a lead back from them or money back, okay? So if someone decides to get something on their own, you need to charge them extra for it because it's not a preferred partner. And also if they decide to go with something that you recommend, you need to be getting paid on that. So have arrangements with your CLECs, hardware manufacturers, hosting companies, web designers. If you don't do either of those in-house, if you refer out to a web designer, you make sure that you're compensated for that referral. Get a 10% kickback. We designed ourselves as a one-stop shop, one call. You know, if you have an issue with something, you call us, we'll handle it all. That's why we do everything. And many of you do the same thing. And that's why, like I said, you lean them towards your SLA. You let them know, if you host with us, we'll take care of everything. If you decide to host with Hostway, you're making that phone call. We're not involved. It's spelled out in the SLA already. Also, if you're a line of business partner, such as Metasoft, or if you're a QuickBooks partner, okay, you can leverage some of that for you. Stick to your guns. Know when to deviate from your SLA and when not to. Remember, both parties agreed to the service level agreement ahead of time, okay? Several months later, they may decide that they don't like it. That's too bad. That's what they agreed to. At the same time, you don't want to lose your best client. There are certain times you need to budge, but there's ways to handle that. Basically, you want to cover what was agreed upon up front, okay? I do not like not charging for things I should be charging for. If it's a customer service issue and I don't want to lose the customer, here's what I do. If we spent 3 hours on something that really should have been billed and we decide we're going to waive it for them, I send them an invoice for 3 hours at $125, discount 100%. You should be doing the exact same thing. Give them an invoice and let them know this is what you should have paid. We waived it for you this one time. Keeps a paper track record. Okay? And also lets them know that you didn't give something away for free. There's value to it. Another thing, too, for those of you who do not realize, when it comes to documentation, you're not alone. The number one reason for medical doctors for malpractice is lack of documentation. Okay? So you have to say, we did this service, we didn't charge you for it, in case months later they have an issue. You also, too, need to be very consistent. If you do charge for line of business support, great. Specify in your SLA you're going to charge $10 more a seat for doing updates for their accounting software. If you don't, make sure you let them know that you do not charge for line of business support and it's set up ahead of time. Don't run off that good client, and don't give anything away for free. So where do you start with an SLA? The forums are a great place. There's several SLAs in the forums. There's books, MSP University. You've got the guy from Australia, the SMB book there, and you can start there, but you can't use a canned solution. You have to tailor it to yours. What we like to do is get that information, and then we share it with our techs. We ask our techs, what's missing? What should we add? What should we remove? Go to your best clients, show them the SLA, and say, okay, here's our SLA. Work with us. Can you tell us what you like, what do you not like, what can we change? Get that one client and get some feedback from them. Maybe it's a client you've had for several years, and see their response and ask them, would you sign it? Would you have reservations about any item on here? And get their feedback. So you've got your staff's feedback, you've got one of your best clients' feedback. You can then go ahead and bring it to your attorney and say, okay, here you go through it. What do we need to change? and get your final draft. And the best thing you can do is once you get that final draft, post it in the forums. Look at Trixbox, look at Linux, look at all these great pieces of software that grew because people shared their ideas, shared their information. You know, we all share a lot of scripts and how we do stuff in the forums. Share your SLAs. Someone might have one little thing. I read everyone's SLA they post. There might be one little thing I'm missing that I want to add to mine, and then I'll go ahead and I'll do it. And when I make that revision, we go out to the clients and they re-sign the SLA again. But share amongst each other. I can't stress that enough because you're going to fine-tune your product and you're going to ping off ideas off each other, and it's going to make the SLAs grow stronger and make Kaseya a better product. So really, you're driving out all the Enable people and all those other ones, and it's just the Kaseya Nation.